All right, today we should be jumping right back into our book. So you can just go ahead, open your book. This page should already be done from yesterday. If not, go back and watch that video. But we're going to just go back onto the last two sections on earthquakes and volcanoes. So make sure that your book is opened to page 268, and we're going to begin reading. Many forces and processes change the surface of Earth. Constructive forces and processes build new features on Earth's surface. For example, new mountains form because of the bending and folding of colliding plates. Destructive forces and processes wear away or tear down features. One of the most exciting destructive processes happens during an earthquake. Most earthquakes happen at faults. So most earthquakes occur at faults that are along plate boundaries. And we'll get to that part in just a second. We're going to look at what faults are. So faults are cracks in Earth's crust where the surrounding rock has moved or shifted. So faults are, and we can just write cracks in the Earth's crust. So if you think about it, on a sidewalk, a new sidewalk obviously has the cracks that are put into it, but a fault is one of those cracks where it's not supposed to be there. The ones that happen when either something falls on it, something hits it, or it's just been really long time since the sidewalk's been done. That is similar to a fault that happens in the Earth's crust. So faults can form in many ways and can happen just about anywhere. Earthquakes most often occur at faults that are along plate boundaries. So that's just outside of where the plate ends. So instead of moving smoothly, the plates get hung up. They lock in place, and eventually the plates jerk into a new position. This sudden movement and the vibrations it causes are what people feel as an earthquake. Plate movements usually happen far below ground. The place where the plates start to slip is called a focus. The place on Earth's surface above a focus is called the epicenter. So we're going to go ahead and complete that. So plates get stuck, then jerk into a new position. It happens far below the ground. So even though we don't feel earthquakes, but people who feel earthquakes, they're not feeling something that happened right under them. They're feeling something that happened far below the ground. So then we know where it starts to slip is called the focus. And the place above a focus is an epicenter. So we know that the epicenter is going to be important for when scientists are looking at earthquakes. So just looking at this map below, it tells you what each of the things are. But you can look, the black dark line is just the plate boundaries. So you can see that some of them are really big, like this one right here is a really big plate, whereas this one right here, super small plate. And then where you see the orange, that's where a lot of the earthquakes happen. The blue or the pink is where there's formed volcanoes. And then the blue is just where there could possibly be earthquake areas, but they're not as big as the orange. So energy released in an earthquake can destroy things quickly. For example, earthquakes can cause landslides. A landslide is the downhill movement of large amounts of rock and soil. Landslides can cover entire neighborhoods. So people who live on like mountains or hills have to be really careful of this because it can just move everything downwards. So you can see in this picture, um, looking very closely, so all this land fell and it's covering that whole road. So if houses are there, it becomes really, really dangerous for people living there. So most injuries in earthquakes occur because buildings become damaged. To prevent these injuries, buildings are being improved in many ways. Sometimes steel cables and bars are added to make a building stronger. Sometimes buildings are designed to be flexible. Flexible buildings move with the earthquake and stay standing. So it's not like it'd be an unstable building that would just fall down. It just means that it'd be able to kind of move with the earthquake and the movement. Earthquakes under the ocean. So if an earthquake would happen like right here, it's not anywhere near land, it can lead to a tsunami. A tsunami is a wave that can be large enough to destroy things when they crash into a coastline. And again, we don't have to worry in Wisconsin about earthquakes, landslides, or tsunamis because we aren't near any kind of plate line or a coastline. So earthquakes can cause landslides, and tsunamis. The next one we're going to look at is volcanoes. And volcanoes are another one that we don't see firsthand, but volcanoes can be very, very dangerous. So most volcanoes form near colliding plate boundaries. So if we saw that earthquakes happen along plate boundaries, volcanoes form near colliding plate boundaries, that they kind of are often seen together. As one plate moves below another plate, rock partially melts to make magma. Sometimes the magma is forced to the surface through a weak spot in the crust. Have you seen pictures of lava erupting from a volcano at night? Such a sight can be more amazing than fireworks. Volcanoes can do more than ooze fountains of lava. Gases such as water vapor and carbon dioxide are often mixed with the lava. Trapped gases can have enough pressure to blow apart the side of a volcano in moments. These trapped gases can push lava high into the air. While it is still in the air, it may cool into ash or even rocks. So volcanoes can also build from the ocean floor. A volcanic island forms when a volcano reaches the surface of the water. The state of Hawaii is a string of islands formed in this way. This is an example of why volcanoes are sometimes considered a destructive process or constructive process. So a lot of times volcanoes are going to do a lot of damage because of the lava, whereas when they create an island like Hawaii, it can sometimes be helpful or constructive. So I'm not going to write this down. I want you, those of you who are right here in the video, write down the state that reaches the surface of the water. Make sure you get that down. And then I'm going to let you read through the different parts of the volcano on your own. But we are going to get into our worksheet. So looking at number 9, I just want to go through that. Look at the front part of your notes. I would just write down what you have in there down here. It's already written out for you like that. And then we've got our questions up here, completing each sentence. And then down here, true or false. Make sure that you do not get confused with this one. It says a mountain forms when a volcano reaches the surface of the water in an ocean. It is not a mountain that is formed because it's surrounded by water. So just looking at that, make sure you use your notes in your book and you can get all of these correct so you can have an A+ on your paper, and then you are all set to go.